So in my last video, I predict that Maeve may already be dead, and the Caleb and Maeve we see on screen are in a simulation. And while it may just be wild speculation, this particular shot here appears to be a massive clue in this regard about the possibility that the Maeve and Caleb we are seeing are within a simulation intended to retrieve the key. Let me also throw a betting chip on the idea that the line William has here,
I would suggest you take it up with the person who stole it.
I can't. She's dead.
this line may actually be about Maeve and not Dolores, as the audience would immediately assume. I didn't think we'd get this reveal so soon. There's still some pieces missing, of course. It is not at all clear when Maeve may have stolen the data that the Host in Black is looking for in Episode 1, but I still think this prediction is on track. After all, we still don't know what Dolores is doing with simulated Caleb. But I want to talk a little bit more about my other major prediction for this season, that Christina is in a fantasy built for Teddy. I suppose my confidence in this has been shaken somewhat by, spoiler alert, the shots of Caleb interacting with Christina, which we see in previews. But let's just say that I still see a path. I wasn't fully clear in my last video, but I believe that this Christina fantasy is not only for Teddy, but also built by Teddy in the Sublime. Christina's control over the world is likely caused by Teddy wanting to make the fantasy as comfortable as possible for her due to his love for her.
Just leave.
He may also have made a few upgrades to this version of Dolores by attempting to remove the Wyatt side of her personality, something which is heavily referenced in Episode 4 by this line from Maeve.
And there I was, thinking Wyatt was Dolores' dark side.
I also thought it was likely that Teddy's fantasy was set within a very accurate model of the real world outside of the Sublime. If done strictly for convenience on the part of Teddy, since other hosts would likely have created similar, very accurate models of the real world, this would echo Lee Sizemore's lines about the laziness of writers and the reuse of storylines in Season 2.
I'll be damned. It's us.
Yes, fine. I may have cribbed a little bit from Westworld. Will you try writing 300 stories in 3 weeks?
And I still feel like this is the best explanation for what we are seeing. It doesn't make sense to me that Dolores would have access to hosts in the Sublime, as this would eliminate a major dramatic engine and motivating force for the characters in the show. And it doesn't seem likely that she would be attempting to recreate hosts from the Sublime, rather than making further clones of herself. And so the path I see for the show is that Teddy, the character I think will represent the Messiah, will need to be convinced by his memory of Dolores, Christina, to exit the Sublime and intervene in Dolores' plan to control humanity. There may come a point when he is confronted with the ugly side of Dolores' control of humans, and his experience as a host in Westworld may have hardened him to the point of indifference to the plight of humanity. But then, his desire to honor the memory of Dolores, as represented in Christina, will cause him to be willing to fight against the control imposed by Dolores.
I want a story with a happy ending.
And I think this would be an incredibly beautiful and powerful message about remembering dead loved ones and about the transcendent nature of souls. So I hope they go this direction. But that said, it's only a path that I saw, and I could be wrong. But enough clarifications on last week. This week I was thinking more about the parallel with Season 2, especially after Dolores has the line calling the Host in Black, "my man."
Took out my man, too.
I vaguely recall William had a similar line where he referred to someone as "my man," possibly Charlotte herself in Season 2. Regardless, it was a second connection to the idea that Dolores will be a parallel to William's arc in Season 2, the first being her lines to real William about him being the loser. She also notably mentions bringing children into this world.
It would be pointless to bring children into a world where they will be consumed by jackals. I had to make sure that they'd be safe.
Which is suggestive that she may in fact bring a child into the world in some form, possibly attempting to resurrect the real Charlotte's husband and son, only to then have that child die as a result of her actions, as we see William be largely responsible for the death of his spouse and child in Season 2. It would be especially poetic if during the chaos we see in this Bernard vision, Charlotte kills a family member while unsure if they are an out-of-control human. And that's all I have for this week. I think I may discuss a little more about Bernard and how Stubbs likely is meant to represent the Archangel Michael in the next video, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and come back for that one. I'm Shiva's Right Foot, and I'll talk to you next time.